make pizza, and I share to the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Assembly group on Telegram that that's not any reference to gates. If you know what I'm saying, and if you don't, well, then you're playing a dangerous game as well, because the more information that comes out is going to be devastating if you don't know how to protect yourself. So, I was listening to a message shared on the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Assembly Telegram group, which is where I've been doing the most interacting for the last month or so, because all of the rest of the places that I have accounts, which are on most social media platforms, ultimately I'm shadow banned in a lot of places, and people don't necessarily get the information, or when I'm live rather. So I have concerned myself less with any of that, and I just do my best to share where I know there are 167 souls presently enrolled, not enrolled, because there's no rolling, but it is where we can roll around not in the mud, but instead can have some fun together with words, because there are a lot of fabulously intelligent and heartfelt people there. So you are invited, and it would be awesome to have you there. Now, what I wanted to share before my pizza is ready is to say that essentially we are playing a multi-dimensional chess game. 5D chess is where we can actually create parallel time boards, which are the equivalent to the blockchain of the cryptocurrencies that have crypt, which is death, within them, where if you don't have the interface, you don't get access to what you thought was in your place. So it's not necessarily going to be as useful as so many people are saying and suggesting, especially those with followers. More than what I have, though I do have some. More than I did before, as we all do if we don't compromise our social credit. Our social capital is the warning I got when I was tuned into a higher level than I had ever been before. And with every new level comes new devils, higher rent, new neighbors, and better views. Or you can be abused as you reuse the emotions that your ego said, emotion, go, I don't want to deal with you. So you press it down, suppress, compress, depress, repress, push it away, try to pretend it doesn't exist for the day, and then eventually it will come to be resolved because you didn't solve it the first time. So when I was going through a really insane experience where I was sane in a world that is fictitiously oriented, and I was trying to say, I'm here to help correct this, so let's just do this, except for I called the policy enforcers that have a role to ensure everyone stays paying the toll. And as a result, I got locked up in those 2.5 life-changing weeks, September 27th, 2019 until October 15th, 3 days before Event 201 took place. And it absolutely rocked me, as I often reference. So if you're new to my channel, that may be new information, but if you have been on any of my videos or messages or lives, you'll often hear me describe that experience as the disaster that stopped life as I knew it before it, and then heralded in the new world that would come from that experience, where I learned of the modern day witch hunt, legalized and normalized as a mental health system that I do believe is designed to have us drop our knees to be united by the professionals, which are a lower level of marksman, where X marks the spot, and now Twitter is now that, because it's about putting an X on the map of the legend where the leg ends, because we've stopped being real in order to pretend to be other than we are, and then defend that territory for the sake of someone else, when we actually need to know how to responsibly govern our own households. So, with that being said, what I want to say is that multidimensional chess requires us not squander our social capital, which is why I shared what I did about my experience getting locked up. For the drop I got was, do not squander your social capital. That was not and is not connected to the social credit system that China has, for instance, under the rule of the CCP, which are the Chinese Communist Party. And we need to see that Martin Amollier's poem, First They Came, is very reflective of what we're experiencing now, because China is no different from Canada, where I am based, or America, or South America, or Africa, or any of these places where injustices have been happening to the people of those lands. And when we stand by as the bystanders to bullies that are victimizing people, we show what we are willing to tolerate. So then when they come closer to home, we get a little bit more nervous, but we say, oh, they're not here yet. They is a fiction that we place our power into the diction by repeating. So I just want to say that I often go into the pronouns. And obviously, if you go down any rabbit holes that would be considered conspiracy theories that lead to a giant conspiracy, you would see how we are being conditioned to stand in our third person pronoun, which is as a ward, infant, imbecile, or one that is incompetent to handle our own affairs. And so that as a third person is a they, them, he, she, it, theirs, his, hers pronoun. First person is me, mine, us, we, ours, ourself, myself. That, when we say it together, we stand as first person pronoun in the properia persona position within our own lives, where we can tell our own story because we remain the first person instead of allowing a second person agent to speak for us that puts us into a third party position, where then we are some it comes to say that my pizza is ready. But I'll just knock it off and say what I wanted to say is very significant, so I'm glad you're with me today. The message that I wanted to say is around 5-dimensional multiversal chess. We are playing this game, and when I got locked up under the Mental Health Act and was sent to 10th floor St. Joseph's Hospital in Hamilton, which is an absolute psyop, psychological operation that is designed to break patients, avoiding eye contact to dehumanize, lying to try to gain power, not explaining rules as to the fact you only get to make a phone call every 2 hours and you don't have your own phone. So if you think that you've got a whole bunch of numbers you can call and you don't have that device on you, you don't have access to those numbers, which is why memory is so important and why memory will be capitalized on if we fill ourselves with inorganic substance that makes us antennas for something other than what is real, for something other than what is actually healthy and able to heal us, which is our inner system. We have an internet that is connected to an internet that is also connected to an intranet. And I see that it is getting choppy. We're making waves. So we just breathe the energy back and we say the fact is, when I was on the 10th floor, nightmare, I wrote about in my book, Fully Committed, The Sacred Sojourn of Now, that had took 2.5 years of my life before that. Comment if you can even hear this or whether I'm just wasting our time now. Please. When I was locked up in that experience, I, in the 10th floor, decided I would play my experience like 3 out of 6 of the characters, and I didn't know why until recently. It is so choppy. I wonder if you're getting any of it. I'll share it, and then I'm going to eat my pizza. And that is not a child. Anyone that is interested, it's legitimately pizza with the crust, stuffed in fact, because that's how I like it best. But the 3 characters I could see were the pawn, the knight, which is the horse that can fly, and the king, which are the 3 less powerful characters than the 3 I could not see, and I did not know why. Until I asked the question and let the drop come, that it is the prism system, those being the front-facing characters, the 3 I couldn't see being the back, the prism being the prison that we are in. The 3 I couldn't see naturally would be the bishop, the rook, and the queen. Due to the technical difficulties that I'm having right now, it seems, I'm going to cut this here and say I would love to hear from you as to what this message has meant to and for you. And then we can come back again and do it at a time when it is scheduled for us to go live, so there will be more to join us, because this, I believe, to be one of the most important topics no one else is aware we need to be talking about. So, or maybe they are, but can't express it because of vows of secrecy that have been pledged to houses that make us feudal allies to tainted houses. So, here we go. Peace be with you, and that's all I've got to say for now. Marcus Great, I am grateful that you shared what you did, and now I'll still shift and come back again another day. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.